Before.
I love it. Hello and welcome to the Soul Wisdom Exchange. I'm Regina, the creator of Edmatry, and I have a very special guest on the show today, Michelle Goldfarb. So before I have her introduce herself, let me give you a little background for anyone who is new to the show. So we explore soul wisdom. Soul wisdom is our authentic ways of knowing and being, and then soul wisdom languages, how that wisdom comes to and through us, and how we can use that in our business to thrive and be nourished and create sustainable ways of living. So, Michelle, welcome to the show. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm doing so great today. How are you doing,
Yay!
Regina?
I'm awesome, and I'm so excited about what we're going to do here today. So, tell us a little bit about Closet Charmer and the work that you do.
Yeah, sure. So my business is basically based on I've been an astrologer for 20 years, and I add an element of fashion to it. So a little bit of a background on me is I went to fashion school at FIDM in Los Angeles. I studied with some amazing, incredible teachers. Then came back to my hometown, did a lot of retail experience. So I've been in the fashion world for a very long time. So it was school, then a lot of the just fashion, working in the industry, those kinds of things. Never did design, but did the retail aspect of it. Well, it turns out that when I went back to Los Angeles after like a love affair that I had with it, I ran into the dean of my school, and we were at a dinner party, and we were chatting and having girl talk and having fun. And she gave me the idea to throw my two things together:
Nice.
fashion, which I was a fashion person, and
Mhm.
also astrology, which I'd been doing for years, just kind of under the table. No one knew about it. It was like I was a mystic underground. So it's been in the works for about 7 years, pretty much, but it has seen so many facelifts. But really, the true essence of it, what I have gone to, and that's what we're going to do with you today, when
Yeah,
we
I'm
look at your
excited.
chart, is the essence of you. How can you dress to be the best Regina Curtis? How
Mm.
can you be the most authentic version of yourself? That's what my goal is to get you looking so fantastic that when you go out into the world, people are like, I love this and I love this, and because you're dressing by you, and that's so
Mm.
important. And then we're also going to look at your year of 2022. It's called
Nice.
that's what we do in astrology. We do these things called solar returns. So
Yep.
we'll look at your solar return chart as well, which is another layer. Basically, this year, how are you dressing to be the Regina Curtis? Because sometimes you want to have a short haircut one year, you want to have a long haircut, or you want to have just different kinds of styles. So those kinds of things. And then we could even pop at the transits, and you can ask me any questions. But that's
Sure.
pretty much it. It's really it's so fun. It's interactive, and if you want, we can go right to it.
Yeah, I have one thing I want to drop in first that's just kind of coming in intuitively, um, and that is that a couple things you said really were resonating. One of that, you walk down the street and somebody's like, "Oh, I like this, I like that," right? Like I totally do that. I'm that person that is constantly drawn to people, and I will say like, "Oh, I love this about you," or "I love that about you," and um, so I know like there's a resonance in me that's like I get that. Like people are drawn to you when you really are living in that true essence of yourself, when really you're expressing that on the outside of that version of you that's on the inside. So I just want to drop that in because it
Yeah.
is so true, and I think that I don't know, sometimes in our society we have been taught that like those things are petty or they're like
Right.
materialistic or things like that, but the way you dress and how you express yourself, that's a part of who you are. So,
It's so important, and
yeah.
and I'm a big fan of dress with what you value. If you value nice clothes, wear them. I think that's wonderful. There's no
Yeah.
judgment there. If you don't want to be investing in those kinds of clothes, that's okay too. And
Yeah.
it's all relative to what you want, so you can be better. And we all love compliments. It feels really good to receive. It feels really good, and it feels really good to give it out too. So
Yes, it does. Yeah. Because that response is so beautiful too. It's just like you see people light up like, "Oh, thank you for seeing me," right? Like, and you know that I know anyway, it feels like it's not just about like the glasses or the dress or the
Mm.
haircut or whatever it is. It's like, I see you expressing yourself. I see you. And so that's just so important. The other thing was these layers, right? So I call them layers of influence. And I love looking at astrology, and even, I don't know if you're familiar with something called 9 star key. Are you familiar with that?
No, no.
Okay.
Explain. Yeah,
It's
I'd love to know.
it's based in gosh, I think it goes into the roots of like Chinese medicine is really where it kind of started, and then I think it maybe
Mm.
came through Japan because it's ki, which in Chinese usually it's referred to more as chi. But
Mm.
anyway, there are these cycles that you go through, and there are these 9 year cycles, and I look at that in a similar way as I would look at like astrological houses, right? So you have this cycle that you're moving through, and each one of those phases has its own energy. So I love that you brought that in too about like the year of 2022, that this year maybe there's a different energy, or maybe there's a little bit of a different a different look or a different need that each of us has during those different cycles. So it's lovely when we can bring in the awareness of those cycles and then align our actions with that. So I love that you're going to talk about that too. So let's dive in. Let's do this.
Okay, great. So just really basic astrology really is that you you have 3 points in your chart. In every astrology reading that I would give is called it's called, like, I give the example as the apple, right?
Mhm.
So the outside is what you look like, the sun is who you're growing into, and your moon is your private side. So for you, Regina, your sun is Capricorn.
Yeah.
So you love to be of importance, dress of importance. So you have a nice important meeting, you're going to show up like that. You're going to show up in maybe a little bit more of a suit jacket. You know how to show up with dignity,
Mhm.
integrity, all those kinds of things. Your rising Aries. So being a rising Aries is that's where your statement pieces come in. So I'm sure you wear a lot of really cool jackets, funky jackets that have a little bling to them, or a cool pant that has like a little bit of bedazzle, or just
Yeah.
something with a little bit of edge. And then your moon is in Virgo, and so you do love your practical pieces as well. And I'm sure your closet is very organized.
I try for it to be organized. Yes, when I'm feeling really good, and when I am like, it's a very much a relationship that you can tell my state of being emotionally when you look at my space, right? Like when it is very organized and clear, I'm very organized and clear. When it is chaotic, I'm a mess.
Yeah.
Um, and one is reflective of the other. Yeah, and I love patterns. I love earrings and like jewelry and scarves,
So
like
that goes
accessories.
deeper. That's
Yeah.
Venus and Aquarius.
Yeah.
So that's where the eclectic is coming in. So Venus is the way we self-express. So that's kind of the triptych of your chart. But when we
Okay.
go to Venus is how we express ourselves. Our money is ruled in there. It's how we love. So Venus and Aquarius, you love eclectic, you love different, you love unique. So pieces that call to you are going to be just a little bit of the away from the average Joe. And what's so cool is that we are in the age of Aquarius. So the more unique, the better.
Yeah. So how that resonates for me. So I have traveled a lot. I love traveling. I've traveled a lot in my job and personally. And I've never been one to have like souvenirs from the places I go. The way that I collect souvenirs is I buy jewelry from artisans in the places that I go. And
Yes.
so I love that you connected that money and into that too, because of all the things that I own, probably I've spent the most on earrings and rings, like just and not because they're like bedazzled with diamonds and rubies and things like that. They're mostly just like handcrafted silver pieces that I met the person, I really love them, I love their work. I felt like it was related, into the work. It was really integrated in there, and that's how I remember where I was and who I actually met. So there's like this meaningful story that goes along with it too.
That's very Aquarian, because Aquarians also love community and they love supporting the world. And so if you really fall, if you're really having like a great conversation with someone, you're of course going to buy a piece of their jewelry, or you're really
Yeah.
connecting in like a heartfelt way. So that really is very your completely your self-expression, Venus and Aquarius. So
Yeah.
that's mostly how you probably dress. You dress very Venus and Aquarian.
Yeah, that is. So the other piece that really resonated for me that you were saying is that like the practical pieces. I do love the practical pieces. I pretty much have like a uniform, and then from that uniform I like add on to it. So generally speaking, I wear leggings and either a dress that goes over the top, or like a tunic or a long sweater or something like that. There's these like statement pieces, and then I bring in all the like the special pieces that make me feel really good. And when I do have like a meeting, or I'm going on, like you'll see, I'm generally wearing earrings when I go on to, I actually made these. So these are,
Oh, beautiful.
uh, but when I'm online, like my partner will say to me, she's like, "Oh, I see you have earrings on today. So you're going on live." And I'm like,
She knows.
exactly. Yeah. So maybe that's what you were talking about with the Capricorn energy. Okay.
Yeah, so Capricorns, they're very they actually they love their jewelry, like you're saying. And they, yeah, everything, it's interesting because everything we really talked about is you're already kind of amplifying your chart, and you know
That's
yourself
it.
very well because you have lived in your body for a while, right? So you
Yeah.
kind of know, you know things. And the Virgo, your Virgo energy is called a you have a lot of planets there, so there's a huge stellium.
Yeah.
And practical is very important for you. You still need to keep things very practical. So if it doesn't resonate with your investment strategy or where you're going towards anything, you're not going to necessarily invest in something that doesn't make any sense.
Yep. That is very true. Unless there's a meaning tied to it, and then I will. Like, for instance, I was in Ireland, and I went into this store. I love tactile things. I'm very textural. And so I went into this wool shop, and this woman had, knit this beautiful sweater. I've never worn this thing. I spent like $250 on it
Wow.
because it was like, I just knew it was special. And I do like it. Like, it's beautiful, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not really that practical. It's that thing that I would not really spend money on, generally speaking. But because I felt this like connection, that meaningful connection with this person, then I did.
So that's beautiful that it's so linked. It's so linked to your Venus and Aquarius, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty much everything. Now, let's talk a little bit about your Aries rising.
Yeah.
So Aries rising is how people are seeing you, right? So they're seeing this dynamic, amazing woman who wears, her eclectic jewelry or eclectic glasses, those
Hmm.
kinds of things. I just wonder, I wonder if you ever would you ever show up with a jacket, like kind of Lady Gaga style? Would you ever show up with an incredible statement piece and just kind of,
So I have a couple things that are like that. Um, I have this jacket that is like this turquoise blue, and it just is very structural.
okay.
And I love it. Like, it makes me feel really, I don't know, like it does make me feel kind of fiery. Like,
Yeah.
there is a fire energy when I wear it. That's just kind of like, ooh, this is like, it's fun. It's a little bit outrageous. Um, and yeah, so I do have some things like that are
Okay.
like very structural. And when I say structural, I mean like they're not like your normal, like just they flow and fit your body. They're
Yeah.
like, they're art. They're wearing
So
art. Yeah.
that's what I would say with all these amazing opportunities that are coming into your world since 2022, right? Which is happening. And
It's awesome.
people that are listening and that have been listening to you for a while, it's your time. This is the time to bring in those pieces and maybe even invest in some more of those pieces, because that's the Aries rising in you
Okay.
that
Yeah.
you show up so interesting to the call that they're like, what? you have this real cool jacket, this real cool, piece or something, you came up. I mean, I'm coming to you with an Aries rising energy right now.
You
Like
are, yeah. I
this
love
is
that.
very Aries rising.
Nice. I love it. I noticed it right away and I was like, it's artsy. It is a statement, right? It's definitely a statement.
Always.
So
You always want to show up kind of, I mean, like you think of Lady Gaga and gosh,
I love
those
Lady Gaga, by
I
the
love
way.
her
Yeah.
too. She's an Aries. She's an Aries sun. And she
Uh-huh.
comes up with like all the funkiest of the funky. And she gets all this criticism, but she just doesn't care because
Yeah.
she does it her way. And so another thing on that, maybe just doing it your way, wearing those earrings, wearing the glasses, like you're doing it, you're doing you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
that's
you.
Aries rising too. So
It's so interesting because that is a part of my chart that I've only recently gotten to know. Like I definitely, and I don't know, maybe that has to do with my age, like where I am in my life. But I did for like earlier in my life, I very much resonated with that Capricorn energy a lot, especially when I was in a corporate space and like trying to climb the corporate ladder, all of that. I resonated deeply with my moon energy during the transition when I was leaving that space and just kind of going into this like, who am I? What am I doing? What's my purpose? What am I here to do? And now, only recently, have I really started to connect with that Aries rising and identify that as something that is actually resonant for me. It never has felt that before.
of self, of true authentic self. That's one
Yeah.
thing we can see in the Aries. They're wonderful because they really just they are who they are, and
Mhm.
they're unapologetic about it. They are truly themselves. They embody themselves, and they do love to stand out though. They do. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe even wearing like a fun red lip or like, funky red, like Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yeah.
Red
I
nails.
like
I
to
mean,
dye my hair different
yes.
colors. I'm not a big makeup person, but like I love dyeing my hair.
Would you
Um,
do red? Would you ever do red?
I have most of my life I've done red. Yeah, like I've had red hair a lot.
You would look wonderful with a bob that was red.
It's time. It's time to do my hair. And, like I keep
We
getting
talked
this.
about that.
Yeah, I put this like messy bun up in like early 2020 when it just was like, who cares? Like we're not going anywhere. We're not doing it. Like when everything was shutting down, and I just like haven't taken it out since. But I've been getting this like for this like soul call to like dye my hair, cut it, like just do something more that feels more me again.
I love it. I think it's so perfect. Um,
Yay!
do you want me to pull up your solar return for this year?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. And it'll give another flavor, but that seemed like it really resonated. And thank you so much for kind of confirming all those things.
Yeah.
And so people can have an idea of because this language can really go over people's heads, and we want to simplify it, make it more tangible because it all has a purpose. It is very practical
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Well, and I think so. Well, before we go into my solar return too, let's just pause for a second and let that integrate and for people. So this resonates for me, right? And when you work with people, generally speaking, what does that process look like? So you kind of go through like these are the things that I see, right? And okay, this resonates for me. You then gave me a suggestion, right? So you were like, this is something, this aligns with timing, these statement pieces, things like that. So I'm just talking this out so people can see that process of what
Sure.
does it look like for them, right? So when you do this with someone in a session, what is that next piece? So you kind of go through this part, you identify the things that resonate, you identify some things that are next steps. What else is in there? Like does that describe it?
Great question.
Yeah.
I do pretty much what I'm doing with you today, a little bit more in depth. Obviously, this is kind of
Yeah.
our truncated version, but the next step would be setting a Pinterest board, setting a Pinterest board for them, sending all the things that I would believe that they would shop for. If they want to take it to the next level, I have a service called a Moon Closet Edit,
Mm,
where we meet 4 times during the moon cycle, and we talk about how we can build that wardrobe for the month or for the season.
nice.
And then then we could go even further to say that we could do a full year. There's many different, this is just kind of a one-off session that gives you a
Right.
little bit of the training wheels to go forward. But if you need a little more of that hand holding, that's where it goes and continues to go. It kind of just depends on what the person needs.
Yeah. So so I tend to tune into like what are the concerns and questions that people might have, right? And the question that I'm getting is like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I can't think about overhauling my entire wardrobe, right? So but I get the sense that's not necessarily the goal for everyone, that some people
No.
may want that, but there are tangible, very accessible ways that you can start to bring this in, or even just maybe amplify things that you're already doing that have their like time in the sun right now, right?
Yeah, so I meet people where they're at. So say your wardrobe, say someone comes in and they go, my wardrobe needs a little bit of zhuzhing. So we'll go in. We could even talk about pieces if that's what they want to do. It's kind of I'm kind of going to go off of where they want to go with their session,
Yeah.
because it's going to be very different session to session, and maybe someone really wants just a little bit of guidance on what's better for them to wear at that season. They want seasonal help. They want to maybe have some options on where they would like to be shopping. But that's what that Pinterest board is. It's there to kind of help them, guide them to what they can do themselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Angela says, I absolutely love this. My daughter would love this too. She's very fashion and astrology driven. Yeah, absolutely. So
Oh, great.
she's how old is she, Angela? This is my sister.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I love it. I think she's like 12-ish. My niece, one of my nieces, but yeah, 12, almost 13. Okay, good. I
Okay.
did have that correct. But
Yay.
yeah, she very much is like, she's a very she expresses herself in these like through color and through pattern, and yeah, so I feel like she would absolutely really resonate with this. So there are can you talk about color actually for a moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So color amplification is so important. Red is a great color for you because you're an Aries rising. So when you wear red, I'm sure you get lots of stuff, lots of things coming at you, I'm sure.
I do. What's funny is I had on red glasses earlier and I changed them. For some reason, I changed them before this call, but I was wearing red polka dotted glasses earlier
Ooh, that's
today.
very Aries rising.
Yeah,
Yes.
I should have kept those on. Um, yeah, so okay, so Aries rising, and question for you. So my other sister, my older sister, is actually an Aries sun, and she wears a lot of red and a lot of these things that you're talking about too, like she's got the lipstick and the earrings and scarves and things like that too, that are just that like pop of color. But what would be the difference between how this shows up for someone as like an Aries rising sign versus an Aries sun?
Yeah, so I would say so. I kind of look at the chart patterns, and kind of what someone really needs in their chart. So,
Hmm.
say she's an Aries, because it doesn't necessarily just mean if you're an Aries sun or an Aries rising. You can go that basic if you want.
Yeah,
I'm more kind of go. I would love to see her chart and see kind of, does she have more fire? Maybe she doesn't need any more fire in her chart. Maybe she actually needs blue, which is
yeah,
water.
yeah.
Like kind of like for you, you have a lot of earth
I
in your
do. I
chart,
have a
in
lot of earth.
a lot of earth.
Yeah,
So maybe it's better that, and let's see kind of what you are kind of. So the amateur, I make jokes because the amateur astrologer would say, "Oh, I see all this earth, so you need green." But in reality, it's the opposite,
yeah.
because you're lacking it. So how are you going to bring it in to your
It
uh
brings in that harmony, right?
the
I
balance?
love this, and I'm glad I asked this question that got us to explore this, because
Yes.
there's this internal expression,
Yes.
external expression, right?
Yes.
And sometimes the way that I'm interpreting what you're saying, and I love that you're doing this in a really holistic way, looking at the entire chart, right? Because a lot of the time when people come into a relationship with astrology, it is through their horoscope, right? And they know like, oh, I look for this, I am a Capricorn. But it stops there. And my experience with this has been that the more I get to know the totality of my chart, the more it really resonates. And not just like, oh, yes, that's me, that's me, that's me. Like it's telling me what to do,
Mhm.
but more that I am understanding this internal way of being so that I can then call in what I need, so that I can then navigate in this way that supports me and empowers me. And so that's kind of what I get what you're saying of it's this internal that you are helping people understand the internal environment
That's right.
and then what to bring in to complement that. So
Yes.
um, so Jamira says, "Ooh, that's interesting about bringing in more color for the element you're lacking to bring it down."
Yes. Yes. And so in your chart specifically, Regina, you're lacking, you don't have a lot of water, a lot of
No.
water in the personal planets. So that's why blues and calming and baths and all those things that remind you of the element of water are very important for you to incorporate in your life.
Okay, definitely. Um, yeah, and I don't have a lot of those colors in my wardrobe um, or in my space, honestly. I have a lot of like orange and green.
Creativity and then the earth. What's
Yeah.
interesting is maybe you use that blue amplification not necessarily from the language of color, but you do it through another lens.
So I love the sound of water and
Yes.
I love to be in water.
There you go.
Yeah, interesting.
Isn't that interesting how we
It
can
is.
incorporate, because this is just one element. This is one projection of what maybe we're lacking in our chart. But you're doing it maybe not necessarily in your clothing, which you could find a beautiful turquoise which would look excellent on you.
Thank you.
Yes, and you have that jacket. So,
Yep.
you and that would be really
Yeah.
cool too.
That jacket I will wear this spring because it's too cold to wear it right now.
Yes.
It is not a Chicago winter jacket, but I will wear it this spring. I'm going to get it out because it
Good
does
point.
really just makes me feel empowered, but not in a toxic, like powerful, power minded way, but in a like, I am empowered kind of way that does absolutely. Um, Beautiful. So I'm going to just put out a reminder to those who are watching live that if you do have questions or comments, please type them in and we'd love to explore those. And while I put that out as well, let's go ahead and jump into the solar return and start exploring that. And then if questions come in, we'll address them. Does that
Oh,
sound good?
excellent.
Okay, perfect.
So actually this year you have the water element. You have
That's my new thing.
you do this. Your sun is in Pisces,
Okay.
and Jupiter, beautiful Jupiter, is we're very blessed with this planet because this is allowing us to come more into harmony
Mhm.
just in the world in general. And it's going to be it's in your 10th house. So we talked about being seen and
Yeah.
all of those achievements, and this is your year. And then you also have Neptune there, so the water element has already made its way to you recently.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel that water element for sure. And I mentioned before the 9 star key. I can't remember if we were live when I mentioned that or not.
Mm-mm.
But it is another. It's another system, a way of knowing, right? And this year for me is a 3 year, and the theme of that
So,
year is go for it. It's like this is the year, like the stars are aligning. And so I love to see. I mean, I'm a total nerd when it comes to self development, ways of knowing, ways of being, creative expression, all of those things. So for me to be able to see these things just like lining up and all having the same resonance, it's beautiful.
yeah, same. I'm a 3 as well. Remington Donovan, he's an excellent numerologist.
Nice.
It's a really good year. These are
Yeah.
and for people also, like, maybe you're not into astrology, maybe you're not into numerology, but there is something that there's a lot of truth behind all of this.
Yeah.
And it's how you can incorporate. You take little bits of it, and if it's overwhelming, it doesn't have to be so scary.
Exactly. Yeah. I like to think of it as I think I said this before, like, this is the environment that is ripe. And it's the same thing as like watching a weather report, right? Like I might watch
Mhm.
a weather report and it says it's going to rain today. I can choose to say like, well, it's raining. That means I can't go outside. Or I can say, oh, I now know it's raining. So it would behoove me to take an umbrella when I go outside today,
That's
right?
right.
And so you live your life, but you know more about it because if you didn't watch that weather report, then maybe you go outside and you get caught in the rain and then you feel like it happened to you instead of knowing like, oh, I'm empowered to do something about this and live within this environment.
Great way to put it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I really love that. You're a Gemini rising this year, so color, 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 accessories. You're gonna be taking these accessories to a new level. I don't know what you have in store. If you have more glasses purchases that you're going to be
Mm,
bringing in,
I've been thinking about that. Yes.
I love that company C. And have you heard of them? They do really beautiful glasses, and then
Oh.
also Warby Parker.
Okay, yeah. I use also Zenny is where I got these. It's a
Yeah.
similar kind of thing, but yeah. Oh, I do know C. I do know. But yes, I actually have it on my to-do list right now to go get an eye appointment so that I can get new glasses because it has nothing to do with the prescription. It's totally about
Can
the
I tell you
frame.
what I see? You
Yeah.
with you with the cat eyes.
Ooh, I love cat eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a real cool cat eye, and you like just you're showing up like you're taking your look here, and you're turning the notch up,
Mhm.
just like that's what I'm seeing.
I like
Um,
it. I like it.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and the Gemini rising is a great place to be because it's all about communication, which is your vodcast, and bringing people on and talking about it, and really having fun with your wardrobe, having a really playful, fun time.
Nice. I love it. So Lachelle says, I totally love this. Yeah, this is
Yay.
it's so much fun. You all need to do this with Michelle.
It's a lot. Yeah. It really is a lot of fun. And that's what it is. It just brings us to a joyful place because that's what, it's all about. And why has clothing been a place where we've just wanted to put on sweats? What happened to showing up
Yeah.
for the world? We
Yeah.
show up for church, some of us that are religious will show up for church and will look really nice, but why not do that every day and really take importance and do your hair and your makeup, and it's important.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know if you were asking that as a rhetorical question or asking for real, but like for me personally, over the last couple of years, just because like it really has to do with comfort because everything has been so extreme in the outside world that it's like wanting to go into that place of comfort, right? But so many people, Jameer says, showing up for the world, love that. Absolutely. It's like we're starting to come out of that place where like we want to just hide under the blanket, right? We want to just be in that cozy place. And somebody recently, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, you know what I did today? I put on pants, like real
Woo.
pants with a zipper. And it was just like, felt kind of good, to like walk outside and so I think that's what's been going on. And it does feel really aligned right now. I know specifically for me, but I think it goes well beyond me personally, right? I think this is like a ripple in the collective right now.
Absolutely. And you'll
Yeah.
notice that a lot of fashion designers are saying it's time to get out of the elevated casual, and it's time to start dressing how we all want to be. Like
Yeah.
what everyone needs to do is they need to show up like themselves. There's no trends anymore. Everyone just if you're wanting to wear athletic gear, do it and
Yeah.
do it well. Buy
Yeah.
a bunch of different like gym shoes and just and show up looking yourself, and that's great too. There's no judgment there, and then if we all show up feeling good, we're all going to be happy. We're going to be a happier society.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love that kind of. I think one of the things that has happened over the last couple of years is that there's been this bringing everything to neutral, right?
Yes.
Because there were expectations. I mean, when I was in the corporate space, one of the things, I find it interesting that you were saying like jackets for me, because one of the things that never has resonated for me is like a suit jacket. Except for I did have this one that I found at Anthropology that it was like very funky and
Colorful.
it was yeah and it was like it technically would be called a jacket, but like it was not like your typical looking one. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like it's that outer layer, it's that whatever that thing is. But there was for such a long time, there was a specific way that we were expected to dress in certain situations. And I think that there now has been this kind of like clearing of that, of like, just show up. Like if you can show up, then that's all that's
And
needed.
feel good about it. You know,
And feel,
don't complain, "Oh, I don't
yeah,
look very good," or this. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. We have to concentrate on showing up and looking good and having our conversations based on how amazing our day was.
yeah,
How amazing our trip is going to be in a day or two. Get looking forward to the future, you know, getting excited about things that really matter, right? So, you
exactly.
know, it's a part of the process. And yeah.
Yeah. And so Lachelle says, show up as yourself. So important. Talk about embodied authenticity. Yeah. Because it's when you say show up and show up looking good, it's show up looking good and feeling good, right? Looking good for you, not for someone else, but because this is what makes you feel good. What is embodied as your most authentic self.
Yeah. And you know, too, maybe a duster is good for you instead of a jacket. You could do a duster. They're a little bit
Yes.
lighter. I love the story Anthropology. I think that's perfect, right on the money. You know, I just kind of I'm seeing a lot of color around you this year. And what you're doing is you're taking your space and you're using your environment with your clothes.
Yeah. That makes
That's
sense.
that Gemini rising
Okay. Yeah, because my
or accessories.
well, yeah, yeah, both of those for sure. Yeah, my world is very colorful, but the last several years I've kind of like removed a lot of the color from my wardrobe, and it's a lot of like very like simple solids and things like that. So I
Okay.
actually love that idea of like kind of bringing in that layer on top that's bringing the color, whether it's
Yeah.
hair, accessories, scarves, things like that.
Yes, that's your
Yeah.
Gemini rising. Geminis get bored. They're the ones that are going to do like, I'm about to do this rent the runway, you know, when
Oh
you
yeah,
like
yeah.
rent clothes. I think that's fantastic
It's so
because
much fun.
it's so much fun. You just get it, you know, you're done
Yep.
with it, you return it. You know, you don't need
Yep.
to buy it. You don't need to hold on to it like the old paradigm. So it's cool for a Gemini rising because then you can play.
Hmm.
You can play with your accessories, you can play with your different things because then you won't get bored with things.
Yes, I love that. So true. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's see. So we tapped on the moon in Pisces. Now, moon in Pisces, your inner world's going to be a little bit of a
Oh,
romanticism.
okay.
So I don't know if you've noticed yourself getting a little bit more in touch with this softer side of yourself.
Yes. I Tell me, can you explain
Tell,
that more though?
like talk about it more. So with clothing, it's like it would be a little girlier, a little more feminine, maybe some pinks,
Yep.
some fluffy slippers like I'm wearing. You know, you got to have the slippers.
Yes, of course. So yes, actually, I've recently gotten I had them over here before, but actually for Christmas and my birthday, so they're both very close together, right?
Yes.
My birthday is in January 7th, so I got like I think three different sweaters that were one of them is a sweater, one's like a fleece shirt, whatever, but they're like this pinky like lavender kind of color, and both of them are like fuzzy and soft, and I love them. I wear them a lot.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so that definitely makes sense.
That
Okay.
resonates.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Awesome question. So we've got several people here. Let's see. Give them a second to type. But yeah,
Okay.
this is so much fun. Why don't you tell us a little bit too about how people can connect with you? I know you talked about some of the different layers of the work that you do,
Sure.
but yeah, let us know. Like, how can people
Sure.
sign up to do this?
So this is on my website. It's on my I'm at Closet Charmer on my Instagram.
Hmm.
If you want to get to know me a little bit more, because it's always good to trust the people, I do these moon circles every month.
Oh,
So,
fun.
and that is just a little tribute to connect and to gather together. I'm thinking about doing group work soon,
Okay.
where we come together in a group and we can like start sharing our things. But a lot of people like to keep this more private.
Hmm.
But you can find me at www.closetcharmer. I have all my things there. I'm happy to set up a call with anyone that wants to speak more about this. And because it is one of these concepts where it's like, well, how does this work? I get astrology, I get fashion, but how do we put the two together? But you said it very beautifully, how it interweaves together, and it's more of a practical essence of being the best self, which we touched on you very, very much
Thank
today.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
I have one more thing that I want to bring in that's not about me at all, but is about you. And I'd love to have you talk about how your human design plays into your gift.
Okay, so I am a reflector. I am the 1% of the population. And so what I do is I mirror pretty much situations. I mirror everything. I hold space. So what's nice is that I can see the person in front of me and I'm able to amplify their gifts and bring them out even stronger. I'm like, okay, we can tune this up, we can tune this up. Let's make you the best dynamic self you possibly. And I'm like this magician, right? I just
Yes,
so
definitely.
yeah, so when I'm reflectors need a lot of I'm a huge meditator, and I have a lot of alone time, but I'm able to do this work because I have such a strong essence of self. I am able to see that other person and see what they can do to create a better version of who they are.
That's amazing. So the image that I get when you talk about that is it's like the mirror on the wall is kind of like this thing that I'm
Yes.
thinking, but it's in a very beautiful, empowered way where you have this ability to be like the mirror in the wardrobe and to be like, tell me what is it that's going to help me shine, that's going to help me be the very best version of myself and to express that in the world. So
Yes.
I this is such a beautiful and unique way of expressing your gifts, your soul wisdom, and I just think it's fabulous and I want
Thank
everyone
you.
to experience this because it's amazing.
Thank you so much for having me on here. This has been so much fun.
Yay, good, good. All right. Well, I'm going to give one more call for questions. If you have them, please bring them in. I know that there are several people who are on here that, I don't know, it's maybe hard to come up with the questions because it's such a big, um, it's like a big space,
Well,
right?
does anyone have a question about a challenge they have in their wardrobe? It's often something I'll address on my Calendly. I'll say, "What kind of challenge do you have on your wardrobe?" And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just a comment
Oh,
saying that.
thank you very much.
Beautiful. Um, yeah, a challenge in your wardrobe. That's a great question. Anyone who's on here, it looks like we still have three people. So Jamira, I know you're so Jamira is also she knows a lot about astrology and about human design as well. So I'd love to hear even if there's something that is just something maybe that you learned today or something that you're curious about learning more of, or a question that you have that's coming up. I feel like that would be a great one. Here we go. She says, I easily get stuck in ruts wearing the exact same thing every day.
Okay. So what we can really learn from is the moon moves every 2 days. And if we love astrology, we know that, say, the moon right now is currently at the end of Gemini, and it's going to go into Cancer. So we can utilize the moon energy, because it moves so fast. We can
Hmm.
utilize it to our advantage. So if the moon is in Gemini, what do? We wear more accessories. Or when the moon comes into Cancer, we wear more softer things. We wear things that are comfortable, more sweaters, more cozy. They're cozy vibes because the moon is all feeling, it's all emotion.
Beautiful.
So that's a great way. Just tune into the moon energy of the world.
So for someone who is in tune with astrology and has that language, right, you can kind of tune into these are the aspects of uh, Gemini or Cancer or whatever sign, right, it's in. What about for someone who's not as familiar with that?
Yeah. So on a practical level, we want to tune into how we're feeling. So if we're in a rut and we don't know what we want to do, I say go in your wardrobe, find the thing that scares you, and wear it.
Mm, that's great. That's great advice. Yeah. So one of the things that I love about astrology is that it's not, oh, let's see, what did she say? Totally got more sweaters this month.
Oh,
Beautiful.
good.
Yeah, that's great. Um, yeah, it is. It's a reflection, right? Like just like we were talking about with you show up and you help reflect, right? Um, astrology is a mirror, right? All of these ways that these methodologies, etc., they're all ways for us to reflect on things in our life and to bring that back in and tune into like, is there a resonance there? So I love that advice. It's great. First, go to your closet, find what scares you, right? What feels a little bit edgy, put that on and wear it.
I have another thing too.
Yeah.
So take something right now, currently in your wardrobe, like a summer dress, throw
Yeah.
a sweater on top of it because it's winter, and you create a two-piece look. So it's like a little bit of a hack. So you do like a beautiful, like I'm sure we have dresses or skirts or pants or whatever you have in the
Right.
closet, but you're basically layering it. You're bringing this, it's winter time, but you're bringing this lighter color, this vibrancy, and then you're putting a sweater on top of it.
Beautiful.
That's
So
more
kind of
practical.
underneath both of those suggestions, what I hear is some contrast, right? Like find the place where there's a little bit of contrast and then lean into that, call that in and find the harmony with it.
Great.
So Angela says, my biggest struggle in my wardrobe is that it's very limited. I work from home and don't leave the house often. So when I do, I generally grab the closest pair of leggings and a t-shirt. I did actually just buy an outfit, not my norm, and it's my new favorite thing to wear. So yay, that's exciting. Um, what would you say about that? So if you kind of have this, I guess it would be similar things, right? That similar energy that you were talking about of just bringing in some
Mm.
contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have a wardrobe that's just the mundane, same old, same old, same old, same old, there's got to be a piece in that wardrobe that you haven't worn in like 6 months. So that's what you want to do. You want to bring it out and you want to kind of find a way to wear it. What we want to do is we want to take our old things that we haven't worn in a while and we have to realize, why did we buy them? Well, we bought them for a particular reason. So it's like, look at them from a different lens. Like, how can you wear something you haven't seen in a while?
I like that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much, Michelle, for going through all of this. I am super grateful. I hope this was a great experience for everyone to be able to really get that tangible, just opportunity to really feel and see what this would look like for you. So I'll drop the links for Michelle into the show notes. And and just thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you. This has been so fun.
Absolutely. It was a joy to have you here. So thank you to everyone who was here live. Thank you to everyone who's coming in the future. And I'll make sure to drop everything in the show notes for you to have soon. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.